Part 90. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 910. As Binghua's teachings to Yan and Leng came to an end, her fourth-generation divine body fusion progress had reached the final step. The slight blockage in my thinking was instantly cleared, and my observation of the surrounding environment became countless times clearer than during the fusion process. Moreover, Binghua can clearly feel the sacred atoms that make up his sacred body, but the only thing that makes Binghua regretful is that he cannot accurately control these sacred atoms, because Hexi did not add such a function to the sacred atoms. But Binghua came up with an idea. If he changed his perspective and treated his sacred body as a weapon, and used the idea of developing weapons to transform himself more precisely, could he make up for the lack of the fourth-generation divine body? Weakness when transformed into a divine atom. Suddenly, all kinds of novel ideas began to emerge in Binghua's mind, but she soon shook her head. Before the writing technology of sacred atoms was optimized, no matter how many ideas she had, they were just conjectures. However, with the improvement of the fourth-generation divine body, Binghua, who has passed the period of weakness, no longer intends to stay in the Merlot heavenly court. After finally returning to the known universe, in addition to going to Liang to exchange knowledge on stellar applications, Binghua also had another purpose, which was to meet Carl, who even Kessa was quite afraid of. Binghua was quite impressed with this unknown space student who once taught at the Super Seminary. Because of his pursuit of unknown knowledge, the two of them had a relationship before the angels broke with the Super Seminary. A brief exchange. But later, because Binghua, as a holy left-winger, needed to deal with the expansion of the righteous order, he rarely went to the Super Theological Seminary. After that, Carl got involved with Liang Bing. Until the rebellion, Binghua had never met the space principal student a few times. "You want to talk to that pervert Carl?" Keisha was a little surprised when she heard Binghua's words and didn't know why Binghua did this. "Yes, I have read the data about your fight with Carl from He-11, but the data is just data after all, and it is far less real than witnessing it with your own eyes. I was interested in Carl's invulnerable form." Binghua sat back in his seat, his posture very relaxed, and he was not worried at all about the danger of meeting Carl. "Okay, it's up to you to tell him that our angels are already ahead of him in Kamigawa technology and let him put his little thoughts to rest." Although Keisha didn't agree with Binghua going to see Carl because it would be risky, but from the perspective of the King of Angels, this matter was only beneficial to the angels and not harmful. Binghua had no intention of asking for Kesha's consent. The reason why she mentioned this matter was just to inform Kesha in advance so that she could use this matter to put pressure on Carl in the future. As a leader of a civilization, Binghua's ideas are actually similar to Kesha's in some aspects, so he knows very well how his statement will benefit the angel civilization. He-11, who had been sitting there and listening, also interjected at this time. "If your main purpose of going to see Carl this time is to explore his body that cannot be attacked, then I suggest you just do it to the extreme and collect as much data as possible without breaking your skin. In this way, my next generation secondary biological engine may be able to destroy him, and then we angels won't have to keep an eye on him so troublesomely." Hexi rubbed her chin and said that she was very confident in the sacred body she was studying. Even if Binghua had sex with Carl during this trip, his life would not be in danger. The reason why the angelic civilization had the fourth-generation divine body and did not choose to destroy the Styx galaxy was mainly because they did not want the situation to escalate, and they also did not find an effective way to eliminate Carl. Otherwise, with the current strength of the angel civilization, Kesha would not be so angry. After discussing the question about Carl in the Styx galaxy, Kesha directed the conversation to threats beyond the known universe. "Not long ago, my angel warriors discovered a triangular creature sneaking in at the edge of the known universe. Although they were successfully expelled, according to the intelligence submitted by the soldiers, the triangle has become more powerful than it was more than 10,000 years ago. Especially the spiritual attack methods are much better than before. Compared with them, the spiritual defense of our angelic civilization has lagged behind. Kesha's tone was a little worried, which was extremely rare, because in the eyes of the angels in Merlot heaven, their queen Kesha looked like she was in control of everything. Binghua's expression became a little more serious when she heard this, and she also knew why Kesha was so worried. Because today's known universe is not as powerful as it was during the physical war more than 10,000 years ago. The Penchen-He Civilization Alliance, which once served as the main force in the fight against the Beast Body and Triangle Civilization, has long since disintegrated. Even the Dino Civilization, which was once expected to rival the Angels, was destroyed by its own civil war. The development of the Liang Civilization, the only one that has made it to the forefront, has been stagnant for nearly 10,000 years, and now they are still sitting at home tinkering with their new main god. As for the river Styx where Karl is located, it is not clear whether it is an enemy or a friend. It is not impossible for the other party to let the triangle in for the so-called void. Binghua doesn't know if he doesn't analyze it. Once he analyzes it, he finds that the angel civilization seems to be powerful in the known universe, but it is in danger everywhere. Secretly, I don't know how many civilizations are waiting for the collapse of angel civilization and dividing the legacy left by angel civilization. For a moment, Binghua felt that the current situation in the world of justice seemed to be quite good. At least their biggest enemy had been eliminated not long ago. Regarding Kesha's concerns, he 11, as the chief scientific research officer of Angel Civilization, spoke out at this time. Queen Kesha, you don't have to worry too much about the triangle. I will continue to optimize the Angel supergene. Moreover, the emergence of secondary biological engines has meant that we already have methods to deal with triangular body mental attacks. Even in the future, we may not be able to shield or even counter the special abilities of the triangle. Binghua also agrees with Hexi's point of view. Technology will continue to advance, and with targeted technology, progress will be even faster. Nowadays, the situation of the angel civilization in the known universe seems to be relatively dangerous, but it may not be an opportunity for the angels to go further. Moreover, he has established a just world outside the known universe, which can fully cooperate with the just order of the known universe. Even if the just order established by the angel civilization of the known universe collapses, Binghua can still use the world of justice to provide the final solution for the angel civilization. At that time, those who are looking forward to the downfall of the righteous order will usher in the ruthless unification of the righteous world. She will not let these angel enemies slowly grow like Kesha did. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 911. After some discussions with Kesha and Hexi, Binghua determined the time to leave Merlot Heavenly Court and decided on the itinerary for the next period of time. The first stop was naturally the Styx galaxy where Karl was located. Binghua felt that he and the other party should have a lot to talk about. At Kesha's signal, Yan will follow Binghua. Kesha intends to let Yan see the biggest threat to the known universe angels and let her know what kind of opponent she will face in the future. After all, no matter how much you talk, it is better to face the opponent in person. This can be regarded as Kesha's experience with Yan, and this time there is Ice Flower to protect him, so there is no danger at all. Yan, my teacher went to the Styx galaxy, why did you come with him? Len whispered to Yan, with a somewhat disgusted tone, but Yan just glanced at her and said, I am the holy left wing of the angel civilization. This meeting between His Excellency the Heavenly Sword King and Karl is of great importance, so I naturally need to accompany him. Angel Len heard that he felt a little unhappy, but he could only keep it in his heart. Binghua, who was flying in front, could naturally hear Len Hian's conversation behind her, and she was very aware of the awkward relationship between the two. When teaching Len Hian, Binghua never thought about letting the two live in harmony, but Len wanted to compete with Yan in everything, and the two women couldn't pee in the same pot. But you can't say that the relationship between the two women is bad, because both Len and Yan actually care about each other. As Binghua and his group of angels rushed out of the insect gate established in the Styx galaxy, they were immediately discovered by some beast warriors wearing silver metal armor. Angels, what are you doing in the Styx galaxy? This is a place protected by my god Karl, and it is not within the scope of your justice and order. Although the officers of the beast warriors spoke very forcefully, their slightly trembling bodies showed that they were afraid. Binghua had no intention of delving into this. She didn't come here to infiltrate. She had no intention of sneaking into the Styx galaxy, otherwise she wouldn't have gone through the Angel's Stargate. Go back and tell your gods that the Heavenly Sword King is visiting. Leng scolded directly, saying that Leng could still be patient with friends of the righteous order, but she had no intention of slowly communicating with these foreseeable future enemies. Inside the Death Song Academy, Karl was tinkering with his Void Engine prototype, and when he was thinking about who would be more suitable to load it on, Snow suddenly knocked on the door. Come in. Karl put away the Void Engine projection in front of him, said something, and at the same time turned around to look at Snow, who pushed the door open. Snow, it's something important that requires you to come over and inform me in person. My god, just now, the former holy left wing of the angel civilization arrived in the Styx star territory, and they wanted to see you by name. While Snow raised his hand to his chest to salute Karl, he also hurriedly told the reason why he interrupted Karl's research. Heavenly Sword King Binghua, why does she want to see me? Is it because I forced Kesha back last time? Karl couldn't figure out why Binghua wanted to see him for a while. Seeing that his god was hesitant, Snow said, my god, our relationship with the angel civilization is not good now. The other party may have bad intentions when they choose to come here at this time. Do you need to open the space folding force field to hide the Death Song Academy? Although Karl didn't know Binghua's purpose, the confidence the phantom body gave him made him have no scruples. Although he had heard of Liang Bing's reputation more than once, this was the first time he had actually met her as an enemy. No need, Kesha was able to find us last time, and the King of Heavenly Sword was no exception. Since the other party wants to see me, let's meet him. Snow, you go and take our guests to the reception hall, and I'll be there soon. Karl couldn't think of the reason why Binghua saw him at this time, so he simply didn't think about it. On the outskirts of the Styx galaxy, Binghua and his group of angels did not wait too long. A purple insect door opened in the void, and a figure wearing a skull mask and a blue cloak walked out. Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, I have a request from God. I thought Karl didn't dare to see me. It seems that he is much more confident than I thought. Binghua shook his head slightly and said something of unknown meaning in front of Snow. After hearing this, Snow's eyes behind the skull mask condensed, and he resisted the urge to defend his Lord God, and stretched out his hand to make a gesture of invitation. Seeing this, Binghua stopped provoking Snow with words, and confirmed in his heart that Karl should have thought carefully before being willing to see him, otherwise it would not have taken so long. And judging from Snow's ability to hold back in the face of his own provocation, it seems that Karl is not as confident about the angel as Kesha said. Of course, these are just Binghua's speculations based on his own experience. Everything will become clear when he meets Karl. Under the leadership of Snow, Binghua and his group of angels came to an insect bridge station not far from the Angel Stargate. The reason why it is so troublesome is because Snow's wormhole technology level is not yet able to bring Binghua and his group of angels into the Death Song Academy. Because he cannot solve the angel's divine body, it is so troublesome to enter the Death Song through the Worm Bridge Station Academy. When Binghua and his group of angels passed through a layer of wormhole energy film, they directly entered a slightly darkly decorated hall. Wall lamps emitting a slightly dim light are hung at regular intervals on the surrounding stone walls, as well as hanging blue curtains. Only the part in the middle of the hall is brighter. Binghua sat on the seat that was obviously prepared for him. Behind him, Angel Yan and Angel Leng stood on the left and right, looking around constantly. Without letting Binghua wait for too long, Carl, wearing a blue robe, walked out of nothingness, said hello to Binghua, and sat on the chair opposite Binghua. This can be regarded as our first meeting since the break between Angel and Super Seminary. I wonder why His Excellency the Heavenly Sword King came to see me today. Carl is really confused now. He doesn't know much about Binghua, just like Binghua knows about him. This is the so-called void technology. My perception cannot detect your existence, but my intuition tells me that you are opposite me now. Binghua did not answer Carl's question, but pointed to his head and said such unclear words. I didn't expect His Excellency, the King of Heavenly Sword, to be so keen that he discovered right away that my current state is indeed a special phenomenon caused by void technology. Just like you feel, King of Heavenly Sword, I am here but not here. Seeing that Binghua had brought the topic to the void, Carl immediately put aside his wariness against Binghua and began to explain his views on the void. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 912. After listening to Carl's introduction to his condition for a while, Binghua had to secretly lament that Carl looked like a young man who didn't understand anything, but he spoke impeccably. I have talked about so much knowledge about void, but not a single sentence has been mentioned. It is just superficial stuff. It can only be used to popularize science for beginners who don't understand void. I understand, but I'm curious about one thing. Your research on the so-called void can be done quietly here in your sticks. The righteous order will not interfere with civilizations that have not joined. As long as you do not spread so-called void technology within the angels' sphere of influence, we angels will not come to trouble you. But as far as I know, your men seem to have been spreading God-killing weapons throughout the known universe, secretly instigating civil strife in the God-making civilization. Binghua started to bring up old things again and brought up things that were investigated by the Angel of Park Nebula hundreds of years ago. Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, you are completely slandering me. I am just a scholar, and I will not do anything to instigate civil strife in other civilizations. Of course Carl would not admit it, even if everyone knew it. Binghua was not very angry when she saw this, because she had expected it, but Len Hian behind Binghua was shocked by the information revealed in the conversation between Binghua and Carl. Really? Let's expose it for now. After all, what you are provoking is not a civilization in a world of justice and order. We angels can't stretch our hands that far. Binghua leaned back slightly and leaned on the back of the seat, crossing his legs. Carl opposite him was still sitting upright, looking very well behaved. But Binghua's next words made Carl's calm expression unbearable. Our angel civilization can ignore the other things you do. After all, the known universe is not the courtyard of our angels. But there is only one thing. You cannot shirk the responsibility of assisting Demon King Morgana to fight against the order of justice. Do you have anything to say about this? Binghua's tone of voice was very calm, but his words were filled with aggressive meaning. Carl also understood now that Binghua saw that his communication was fake and the provocation was real, so Carl no longer pretended to be conciliatory. Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, I have reached an agreement with Queen Kessa on this matter and have revealed it. Does Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, intend to violate the agreement? The originally harmonious atmosphere suddenly became tense with the words of Binghua and Carl. Len Hian was also keenly aware of the change in the atmosphere. His expression became serious, and he directly carried out his weapon, the flaming sword. Snow also quietly revealed his figure in the shadow behind Karl on the other side, and the arm blade on his right hand also ejected. Binghua was still the same as before, completely unaffected by the surrounding atmosphere. Karl, none of us are fools. I don't like to beat around the bush. From the moment you helped Morgana, you have become an enemy of angel civilization. It's not hard to guess what your plan is. By funding Morgana, she will attract the attention of angel civilization, and you should be planning something secretly. Otherwise, if you just study the so-called void, you don't have to interfere with the affairs of the known universe, let alone get involved in the war between angels and demons. Because this will set you on fire. A faint smile appeared on Binghua's face under the bangs on his forehead. Judging from Karl's reaction, he must have said what he was thinking, otherwise he would have made a few excuses. Your Excellency, King Tianjian, everything you said is just your guess. Can't I help her as Liang Bing's friend? Karl's eyebrows frowned slightly under his hood. The Heavenly Sword King was indeed, as Liang Bing said, very difficult to dismiss, and some of his words even had the opposite effect. The smile on Binghua's face slowly disappeared when he heard this, and his expression became grim. Since you have chosen to collude with Liang Bing, you are even more of an enemy that I should eliminate. I have already killed Liang Bing once, and sooner or later I will kill her again. And you and everything you do reveal what you are planning. Before your plan succeeds, I feel the need to destroy you in advance. Hearing this, Karl's already frowning brows under his hood became even more furrowed. He had already smelled a hint of danger from Binghua's words. King of Heavenly Sword, don't you care about the safety of the order of justice and the spread of void technology? Facing Karl's coercion, Binghua said nonchalantly. If I stab you to death here with a sword, none of the problems you mentioned are problems. If I fail to stab you to death with a sword, it means that the angels have no ability to prevent you from spreading the so-called void technology. So why don't I try it? After Binghua finished speaking, the 5 fingers of his right hand that were placed on the armrest of the seat straightened without any warning. Several sword spines were hollowed out, and space-disturbing swords with blue light shining inside shot out from the opened micro-wormholes and inserted into the walls around the hall. The next moment, blue energy fluctuations suddenly exploded and spread across the entire hall. You are so rude. Karl sat up in shock from his seat, put down his arm in front of him, and sounded very shocked and angry. It's not a technology like space projection, what about this? Binghua saw that Karl was not affected by the space disturbance, and ruled out that Karl was using space technology. Before Karl could react, several flaming swords burning with energy flames passed through Karl's chest, leaving several huge holes in his body, but these holes soon returned to their original state, just like it's like time has flown back. It can be affected by physical rules, but it can't cause effective damage. It's really a tricky body. Binghua sat on his seat without moving, but the attack he launched was merciless, deadly, and ferocious. Karl calmed down after the initial shock and anger. He did not run away or fight back. He just stood quietly and said to Binghua, Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, your attack is meaningless, but your behavior is provoking my dignity as the Lord God of Styx. We are all enemies. Who cares about your so-called dignity, but you are indeed quite troublesome. Physical, energy, and even space interference will have no effect on you. But I don't believe that the so-called void can make you unable to be destroyed. It's just that I haven't found a suitable method yet. After Binghua finished speaking, he carried out several silver swords and combined them into a temporary stargate in a part of the hall. Leng, Yan, you leave here first and I'll be there soon. Angel Yan was still hesitating, but was pulled towards the stargate by Leng. I trust my teacher. After saying that, Leng pulled Yan and rushed directly into the stargate. Seeing this, Binghua directly put away the temporary stargate. Suddenly, only Binghua, Karl, and his subordinate Snow were left present. King of Heavenly Sword, you sent them all away, are you planning to escape? Facing Karl's words, Binghua just responded casually. It's not that I want to escape, I'm just afraid that it will affect them next. After saying this, Binghua turned his right hand palm upward, and a bright sphere tightly wrapped in blue prismatic crystals appeared from the void. It was very beautiful, but Karl's eyes tightened slightly. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 913. As a researcher who often deals with cosmic objects, after Binghua took out the compressed star, Karl felt the huge energy source inside the prismatic crystal that was very similar to the star. What are you up to? Facing Karl's surprised question, Binghua chuckled and replied. Since ordinary attacks can't destroy you, we can only try to see if there is an upper limit to your body's recovery ability. After Binghua finished speaking, he decisively grasped the prismatic crystal floating in his palm, and a cracking sound came from Binghua's clenched fingers. Seeing this, Karl could only curse a madman in his heart, and stretched out his hand to wrap him and Snow with a wave of transparent space fluctuations. And Binghua was sitting there, an extremely dazzling light emerging from his fingers, covering the entire hall in an instant. The scorching heat began to quickly devour everything around it. Whether it was solid walls or research rooms protected by energy fields, everything was reduced to ashes as the star that was compressed to the extreme expanded rapidly. In the star field where the Death Song Academy is located, two figures spit out with a burst of space fluctuations, which were none other than Karl and Snow. My God, the King of Heavenly Sword really doesn't take us sticks seriously. He actually attacked us directly. Even more unreasonable than the King of Angels, Kesha. As soon as Snow came out of the space, he kept talking about Binghua's arrogant attitude of not taking them seriously. But Snow quickly shut up, looked at the Death Song Academy behind him, and widened his eyes behind his skull mask. This. How is this possible? My God, where is our Death Song Academy? Facing the inquiry from his subordinate Snow, Karl also fell into confusion. The spatial transfer position he performed was correct. It should be right next to the Death Song Academy. Why is there an extra star where the Death Song Academy is now? Could it be that I got the coordinates of the space transfer wrong? Thinking of this, Karl connected to the big clock, opened the star map, calculated his position, and found that his position was not wrong. He was right next to the Death Song Academy. The location of the Death Song Academy was exactly where the star beside them was. Karl's heart suddenly tightened, remembering the huge energy source in Binghua's hand that was very similar to the fluctuations of the star when he and Snow were making space transfers. No matter how reluctant he was to believe it, Karl could only come to one conclusion, that is, Binghua had released a star in its prime inside his academy. The academy and research materials he had worked so hard to build for thousands of years, as well as numerous semi-finished void engines, were all swallowed up by the star. Even with Karl's character, he couldn't help but hate Binghua's behavior. Although the Death Song Academy could be rebuilt and his own research materials could be re-edited, all of this would take a long time. My plan has already reached the final stage of preparation, but now that Binghua has messed with it, I don't know how long it will have to be postponed before it can continue. This is not what makes Karl angry the most. The premise for the start of Karl's plan is the most important period of alternation between the old and the new in the angel civilization. If the new generation of angels in the angel civilization grows up, the resistance he needs to face to implement his plan will increase exponentially. In the end, it will not be him plotting against the angels, but the angels running over him. But it's not without some good news. In the end, Karl almost witnessed with his own eyes the entire process of the ice flower being swallowed by the star. Although his Death Song Academy is gone, the former holy left wing of the angel civilization and the heavenly sword king Binghua that Liang Bing fears the most has also fallen. Carl did not believe that the ice flower could withstand the ultra-high temperature inside the star, because he also had a certain understanding of the angel's divine body. But just when Carl didn't know whether to be happy that there was no huge obstacle to his plan, or to feel sad that the academy he had worked so hard to build was gone, Carl and Snow's attention was drawn to a drifting cloud of golden particles coming from a nearby star. Before Carl and Snow could figure out what these particles were, these golden particles began to gather quickly and gradually condensed into a human shape. Carl felt something bad for a while, as if something bad was going to happen next. Sure enough, Carl's premonition came true the next moment. As the golden particles completely aggregated, Binghua's figure appeared in his sight. Being burned to death by the flames is really a bad experience. After the aggregation, Binghua recalled that he had been swallowed by the expanding star not long ago, and was killed by the terrifying energy and ultra-high temperature inside the star that burned through the force field defense of the sacred body, and felt a palpitation in his heart. Binghua felt that it would be better for him to launch as few suicidal attacks as possible in the future, otherwise he might have mental problems. "Oh my God, are we running?" Seeing Carl's gloomy expression, Snow asked cautiously from the side. In his heart, he still suggested that it would be better for his Lord God to avoid the edge for the time being. After all, even the stars released by Binghua at zero distance didn't kill herself. With such an existence, Snow couldn't figure out how to win. "Snow, you leave first. If I leave like this, wouldn't I be telling the King of Heavenly Sword that I'm scared? I can't make any concessions now, otherwise Styx will be overwhelmed by the heavenly blade soon." Carl has a very clear understanding of the purpose of Binghua and even the angelic civilization behind him. This time Binghua is so crazy about releasing a star on his own territory, his purpose is very obvious. It is to convey to himself that the angel civilization's research on star drive has surpassed that of the blazing sun, and at the same time it also has an immortal divine body that can survive even inside a star. This is a deterrent and a warning to oneself, indicating that angels are capable of destroying the big clock. The immortal divine body is telling himself that no matter what ulterior plans he has, it will be in vain in the face of the absolute strength of the angel civilization. To be honest, Carl's mind really flashed: should he give up the idea of letting the known universe reach the void era? It is because the angel civilization has developed too rapidly during this period. You must know that less than 2,000 years have passed since the agreement with Kesha was signed. Angels have the technology to drive and compress stars, as well as a divine body that cannot be destroyed by stars. There are still more than 500 years before the launch of his plan. Carl is afraid that his technological advantage in the void will be overtaken by the angels. How can he lead the known universe into the void era? But Carl's thoughts were interrupted by Binghua's words. "Ignore my space disturbance and use space transfer to avoid my stellar liberation." "Carl, it seems that you are not invincible. It is a pity that I only have one idle star in my hand. Otherwise, I will have to try again to see if you can survive the continuous burning of the star." Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 914. Binghua no longer had the desire to take action. Judging from the fact that he had not been able to stop Carl's space transfer by using space disruption before, his existing powerful attack methods should not be able to hit the opponent. Judging from Carl's previous appearance, he should be able to ignore ordinary attacks, so Binghua didn't take advantage of Carl's distraction just now to attack him because it was useless. "Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, you directly destroyed my Death Song Academy. Don't you have nothing to say?" Carl looked at Binghua and said in a deep voice. At the same time, a book with a metal cover appeared in his hand, and blue energy fluctuations appeared around him. "The only thing I want to say is that I'm sorry that I couldn't kill you with a sword today. Also, congratulations. You won't have to be so secretive in inciting civil strife in other civilizations in the future." Binghua said jokingly, not feeling regretful or angry because the stars he released failed to achieve results, because before coming to the Styx galaxy, Binghua had expected to return without success. Carl on the other side was different. He had practiced chi-nurturing kung fu for countless years and could no longer keep his heart calm. Carl raised his hand and a giant blue energy barrier stood up out of thin air, covering it in the direction of Binghua. Binghua had already expected this, as she had some of Carl's combat data. Although it is not known what energy the incoming energy barrier is composed of, as long as it is energy it can be dissipated and annihilated by greater energy. Almost at the same time as Carl made his move, a row of destruction swords appeared from the void behind Binghua, hitting the energy barrier like crossbow bolts. The next moment, the blade of the destruction sword was eroded by the energy barrier energy released by Carl, and the blade began to collapse rapidly. But before Carl's face showed a trace of joy, the mimic miniature stars embedded in the hollow sword grid of the destruction sword began to burst out with dazzling brilliance. As several huge energy flames rose up that swallowed up several kilometers around them, neither Carl nor Binghua could dodge the attack released by the destruction sword using itself as a sacrifice. As the energy flames dissipated, Carl, who was recovering from a missing part of his body, and Binghua, whose whole body was protected by the power of an invisible force field, reappeared in the universe. Technology that simulates stellar fusion, King of Heavenly Sword, I'm beginning to wonder if you are the god from the Liang civilization pretending to be you. Carl was still confident and not worried at all about whether the missing part of his body could be restored. It seems like you've even blocked out your own pain. Is it really interesting to have a body like this, Carl? As Binghua spoke, his left and right hands were covered with Titan's gauntlets, and the backs of both left and right hand armors were inlaid with miniature star energy sources. I personally feel that my immortal body is exactly what most Kamigawa beings dream of. While he and Binghua were talking trash to each other, Carl did not stop what he was doing. Energy clusters exuding ominous blue emerged in the cosmic space around the ice bloom, and began to rapidly shrink and collapse toward the interior. But before these shrinking energy groups exploded, the invisible force field captured them all, and before they exploded, they were all thrown towards Carl's direction by Binghua. After a few more rounds of confrontation, both sides found that the other side was a tough nut to crack. Binghua hated Carl's body that was not afraid of injury and death. No matter how he tried or attacked, he could not cause even a scratch on Carl's skin. Carl was helpless against Binghua's super powerful force field control. No matter how he attacked, he would be captured and thrown back by the force field control. In addition, because the Death Song Academy was suddenly destroyed by Binghua, Carl was extremely poorly prepared and could not use many methods. Gradually, Carl was suppressed by Binghua, who had no supercomputer support. Isn't this enough? Where is this? Could it be that your void divine body will make you weak? As Binghua spoke, he opened his right hand and grabbed it in the direction of the star beside him. The ultra-high temperature plasma on the surface of the star was peeled off by the force field like a ball of viscous liquid material. Let me give you a hot bath, sister. Such a heartbreaking scene made Carl's eyes twitch slightly. If the void he studied was the rewriting and destruction of the physical rules of the universe, then what Binghua was doing at this moment was the extreme use of physical rules and energy. Before the material on the surface of the star overturned, Carl's figure disappeared directly from the spot and escaped using space transfer. This actually made Binghua's mouth curl up slightly, because it meant that Carl could not ignore the continuous burning of ultra-high temperature plasma, and that Carl's void divine body was not as perfect as he said. Just when Binghua was thinking about how to push Carl to his limit, a compressed sphere of unknown energy once again appeared next to Carl, who had shifted in space to avoid the attack. But this time the energy sphere released by Carl did not leave his vicinity, but began to collapse inward directly beside him. Just when Binghua was puzzled by this, the energy ball around Carl that had collapsed to the limit appeared at Binghua's side at some point. In an instant, An energy shock of blue mixed with purple engulfed Binghua's body. After a few seconds, Binghua put down the Titan's hand armor that protected his face, and glanced at the Angel King's breastplate and side shoulder armor, which were covered with blue cracks due to energy erosion. It's really dangerous energy. It's corrosive and destructive, much more powerful than the equivalent dark energy. Regarding Binghua's evaluation, Carl said confidently. This is why I am obsessed with void technology. In the future, it will definitely replace dark energy. By then, I will be a pioneer in exploring void technology in the new era. Binghua was dismissive of Carl's speech. Binghua believed that the void might replace dark energy in the future, but just because you, Carl, want to be a pioneer in the new era, you think too highly of yourself. You want to be a pioneer in the new era. Have you ever asked the angel civilization if you agree? Before Binghua could finish her words, her attack was already in front of Carl. The beating thunder and lightning passed directly through Carl's body, as if what was standing there was a phantom. Carl repeated his old trick and once again summoned an energy ball that collapsed inward, preparing to repeat the previous attack. But this time Binghua's reaction was beyond his expectation. The collapsed energy ball reached the location Carl wanted, but Binghua that was supposed to be there disappeared. At the same time, Binghua's voice sounded in Carl's ears. You're so close to me, didn't Liang Bing tell you that what I'm best at is surprise beheading? The next moment, Carl's head and hood flew away from his neck directly, with a hint of disbelief in his eyes. Binghua, whose body was wrapped with thunder and lightning, did not stop attacking. Instead, he threw away the king's sword in his hand, reached out and pulled out the neutron war blade from the open space rift. Recently, I need to work during the day, so the update time is relatively late. I hope everyone can understand. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 915. The moment Binghua drew out the neutron war blade, Carl's expression changed slightly. Compared to an expert like Binghua, his combat experience was as young as a baby. But Carl's ability to analyze things with the support of a big clock is unmatched by others. Therefore, Carl already understood the essence of the weapon the moment his eyes glanced at the neutron glaive, but it was precisely because of this knowledge that he knew how terrifying the neutron glaive was. Although Carl's body has now been separated, he still used the computing power of the big clock to control the void energy and created a huge energy impact near the ice flower. Carl himself even controlled his body to stay away from Binghua and regroup. He never wanted to be so close to such a dangerous guy again. Binghua had fought with Carl for dozens of rounds before and had accumulated a lot of experience in dealing with void energy. A force field shield appeared first to block the recent burst of void energy. Binghua bypassed the force field shield and pointed the weapon in Carl's direction to directly activate the gravitational waves. Different from the previous force field, the gravitational waves released by the neutron blade this time are full of extremely powerful pulling force. Even Carl's phantom-like body cannot ignore this powerful force that can distort light. Therefore, as soon as Carl's body was far away from Binghua, he was pulled by the gravitational wave and flew towards the neutron war blade. As soon as he touched the sword, Carl's body directly disintegrated into countless particles, which were absorbed into the neutron war blade. On the blade. Binghua was stunned for a moment when she saw this, feeling a little surprised. She had thought that Carl could ignore the damage from the neutron blade, but she didn't expect it to happen. But Binghua soon turned around and was in the void not far away, and the blue energy particles recondensed into the appearance of Carl. I seem to have some clues about your void divine body. Binghua rubbed his smooth chin, and several thoughts flashed through his mind, all of which were inferences about Carl's void divine body. The originally mysterious and unknown void has revealed a hint of his true appearance hidden behind the veil to Binghua. But this time Binghua really didn't plan to continue to spend time with Carl. Now that she has used all her methods, it's pretty much the same. But unfortunately, she didn't cause any effective harm to Carl. Carl did not take action again, because the facts showed that even if he obtained immortality, he was still not enough to face the Sky Sword King Binghua, who crawled out of the sea of blood from the mountain of corpses. And regarding the words that popped out of Binghua's mouth just now, Carl's heart tightened, because Liang Bing once said in a conversation with him that Binghua was very keen on the enemy's weaknesses. As long as the enemy has fought against Binghua once, the next time Binghua fights against him, Binghua will always be able to come up with means or weapons to counter or even restrain the enemy. Binghua on the other side pondered for a while and saw that Carl did not attack him again, and also knew that Carl did not want to fight either. Although the fight between the two just went back and forth, in fact, Carl only destroyed Binghua's armor from beginning to end and did not cause any damage to his sacred body. On the contrary, Carl has been enjoying one-sided piercing, burning, and electric shock. No matter how good his mentality is, being beaten one-sidedly is not a wonderful thing. It seems that you don't want to continue fighting. I can't do anything to you, and you can't kill me. How about giving up today? Binghua began to recover the various weapons that he had previously projected, including his own king's sword, not even the broken remains of the destruction sword. You destroyed my Death Song Academy. Do you want to understand just by saying this? When Carl heard Binghua thinking about letting it go, he immediately thought of the Death Song Academy where he had stayed for tens of thousands of years, and his heart suddenly throbbed. Then what do you want? First of all, let me make it clear that I will not help you rebuild the Death Song Academy, nor will I compensate you with any resources, because I will not sponsor the enemy. Seeing that Carl was still unwilling to give in, Binghua became a little more interested and planned to see how Carl wanted to understand this conflict. But Carl was choked by what Binghua said. He originally wanted the angel civilization to compensate him for his losses, but looking at Binghua's appearance, it seemed that his request could not be realized. Carl had never doubted whether Binghua could represent the Merlot Heavenly Court. He would not have believed Binghua's actions this time without Kaisha's authorization to kill Carl. Aren't you afraid that I will take revenge on Merlot Heavenly Court in the future? After a long time, Carl could only hold back the sentence. Binghua's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard the words, and his voice did not live up to his previous indifference. You can give it a try. Although it was only 6 short words, Carl could hear the meaning of annihilation in it. It seemed that as long as he openly retaliated against Merlot Heavenly Court, absolute destruction would be waiting for him. After Binghua finished speaking, he didn't want to waste any more time here. He turned around and turned his head slightly. Carl could only see some of Binghua's profile, but the words that came out of Binghua's mouth shook Carl's mind slightly. I can destroy your academy once, and I can destroy it a second time, or even a third time. No matter what your purpose is, it will not be achieved. I hope you will remember this in the future. I don't want to do nothing but stare at you every day. After the words fell, Binghua turned into a silver stream of light and swept into the distance. Carl just watched quietly and did not stop it. At the Angel Star Gate on the outskirts of the Styx Star territory, Angel Yan and Angel Leng, who had been waiting for a long time, finally arrived at Binghua. Teacher, are you not injured? Leng asked worriedly, because Binghua's armor was full of cracks in several places, as if it might break at any time. It's okay. I just accidentally hit Carl's path. I wasn't hurt at all. Binghua raised her hand to signal Leng not to worry, and spoke to ease Leng's worries. Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, what happened to Carl, the god of death? Did you successfully eliminate him? Seeing that Binghua was fine, Yan asked about the most important purpose of this trip to the Styx Galaxy. It's a pity that I couldn't kill him. That guy Carl's fighting skills are not very good, but his so-called void divine body does have some skills. I tried many methods but couldn't do anything about him. Yan felt a little regretful when he heard this. If Carl, the god of death, died in the hands of the heavenly Sword King, then Queen Kessa would also be relieved. Let's go back to Merlot Heaven. There is nothing to stay here. After saying that, Binghua took the lead and entered the Stargate. Seeing this, Yan and Leng quickly followed. I didn't expect that Carl has such a high level of knowledge in space, and he actually ignored the space disruption algorithm you said. Based on the battle data brought back by Binghua, Hexy began to break down the data about Carl to see if he could find any weaknesses in the opponent. It should be the computing power provided by the big clock that allowed him to decipher my space disruption algorithm, otherwise space transfer would not be possible. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 916. As a master at analyzing enemy combat data and finding flaws, Binghua naturally participated in He-11's dismantling of the combat data. Kesha was watching them busy, and occasionally made a few suggestions of her own. This scene is like the four kings discussing how to deal with Huaya tens of thousands of years ago, but now they need to deal with not the former king of angels Huaya, but the new threat Carl. The female angel is no longer a legion that can only hide in XZ, but a defender of order that suppresses the entire known universe. But there is only one thing, that is, the four kings have become the three kings today. After Binghua's testing, we now know that Carl cannot ignore all attacks. Although the opponent's divine body cannot be destroyed, it can be harmed. As He-11 spoke, he brought up the scene of Carl being penetrated by the flaming sword projected by Binghua. The opponent's body was obviously scorched by the energy flames, but it was quickly repaired automatically. As well as the subsequent scenes of Carl being pulled by Binghua's weapon, the neutron blade, and being crushed into a stream of atoms by gravity, these all show that Carl has not yet broken away from the constraints of physical rules. Compared with He-11, who always believed that Carl's divine body was a product of void technology, and had been trying to find a way to eliminate Carl through sub-biological technology, Binghua, who had experienced all kinds of enemies, had a different opinion. Sister Hexy, is it possible that we have been entering into a misunderstanding? Carl's so-called immortal void body is not physical immortality at all. Hexy and Kesha thought for a moment after hearing this, and Hexy asked directly. How to say? When I used the neutron blade, I did destroy his physical body. I am extremely convinced of this. Because when Carl appeared again later, he didn't escape from the gravitational wave of my neutron blade, it was like a new Carl appeared. This reminds me of an enemy I once defeated, the Devourer God. Hearing Binghua mention this name, Kesha Hexy thought of it. This was the first person who was so arrogant as to attack Merlot Heaven after the establishment of Merlot Heaven. Although he was easily defeated by the angels later, and he was imprisoned in the angel prison, the angel civilization did not dare to kill the opponent easily, because the god of Devourer had his own data backup in many places in the known universe. As long as the body consciousness he is currently using is destroyed, the other data backups of the Devourer god will automatically start, and the angels will have to spend a lot of energy to deal with this trouble. For this reason, the angel civilization can only seal it in angel prison. Binghua, are you saying that Carl uploaded his consciousness into the big clock, and the body he is using now is just a cover? It's almost the same. Even if it's not, it should be a similar method. If he really masters the technology to easily tamper with the rules of physics and rewrite concepts, he won't be that weak. Binghua said it was natural, while Hexy and Kesha twitched the corners of their mouth slightly, saying that Carl was weak, and you didn't even look at the superclass attack methods you used when fighting with the opponent. In fact, there is nothing to discuss now that the discussion has reached this point. No matter what kind of technology the opponent uses to kill Carl, the angel civilization will need time to research if it wants to crack it. I think Binghua's conjecture is very likely to be true, and the big clock in Carl's hands will ultimately be a huge threat to the order of justice. However, cutting off the branches of the great clock in the known universe is an extremely huge project, and it will take a long time to realize it. As soon as Keisha finished speaking, Hexie added, "Queen Kesha, if you want to cut off the tentacles of the great clock in the known universe, you can only do it in a short time. Otherwise, Carl can easily control the great clock to reconnect with other stars in the main universe to power it. Then first look for all the star locations that the big clock is connected to in the known universe, and when the time is right, cut them off with the force of thunder." Binghua expressed his thoughts, and Hexie felt that this was more reliable than Kesha's slow pruning. "Binghua, even if we know the positions of all the stars connected to the big clock, we can't cut them off with the force of thunder as you said, because the total number of active angels in Merlo Angel is only a few 100,000. Kesha's tone was very helpless when she said this. Of course, the true strength of the angel civilization is more than what is shown on the surface, but when it is not in a wartime state, Kesha is embarrassed to issue orders to recruit those angels who have retired. Binghua also reacted after hearing this. Merlo Heavenly Court is different from the justice world he established. It follows a high-end elite route. There are not many angels in the active army, and it is impossible to casually pull out $1 million army like the justice world. Level elite troops. At the same time, when the angel destroys the big clock, Carl will definitely not stand aside and watch. The opponent also has a large-scale animal civilization army under his command, so it is indeed difficult to implement this plan. Forget it, Queen Keisha, first detect the position of the star connected to the big clock. If the situation really comes to an extreme critical point, I will lead the army of the justice world to support Merlo Heavenly Court." Binghua rubbed the center of his eyebrows, and after a long time could only say, "It is not that the angel civilization does not have affiliated civilizations that can be recruited, but the number is not large. Most of them were developed during Binghua's reign. The Holy Left Wing who succeeded him later, except Ran, did not care at all about the development of angels-affiliated civilizations. Even Ruaning, the fourth Holy Left-Winger, ruined the relationship between some angel-affiliated civilizations and angels because of attitude issues. The reason for this is not entirely to blame Kesha for not paying attention to this aspect. In fact, in the more than 10,000 years since the disintegration of the Pangenhe Civilization Alliance in the known universe, no large-scale war has broken out. Even ordinary civilizations join the righteous order, and do not want to become a subordinate of the angels. Kesha did not reject Binghua's kindness. Although accepting help from other civilizations in this way was detrimental to the dignity of the angel civilization, who made the world of justice established by the former Holy Left Wing of the angel civilization. As for whether the justice world is willing to cross the endless deep space and come to the known universe to help the angel civilization, Binghua is not worried, because Binghua has no intention of letting the justice world work in vain for the angel civilization. The only thing Merlo Heaven lacks is resources. After all, angels manage such a vast territory as the Order of Justice, and their own body is too small to digest those resources that ordinary civilizations regard as extremely precious. For example, the main material of the flaming sword is red gold. This thing is rare in the world of justice, but in the Merlo Heavenly Court, even the angel recruits can be equipped with the flaming sword made of red gold as the main material. Although this is due to the difference in size between the two, it also illustrates the inhumanity of Merlo Heaven. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 917. After completing the dismantling of the battle data and formulating a strategic plan for the future fight against Carl, Binghua was ready to go to Liang, his other destination in the known universe this time. Compared to entering the Styx galaxy, before entering the Tiandao Liang star, Binghua specially sent an angel to arrive at the Liang civilization to announce the matter. Liang civilization also responded with approval to Binghua's request for a visit. After receiving a clear reply from Liang, Binghua passed through the stargate of the angel civilization and arrived at the Shenhe Tiandao galaxy with his guardian angels. Compared to the last time Binghua came here, the situation in this galaxy is now much more stable. The civilized turmoil caused by the conflict between the Liang Islanders and Thunderblade civilizations is now gone. Naturally, this is because Liang took the initiative to show weakness and gave up a lot of interests, and there are also factors in which the three parties check and balance each other. After all, no one wants to be picked off by someone else in the end. When Binghua visited the Sun Star, Carl from the Styx Galaxy was discussing with his subordinates the location of the new Death Song Academy. Naturally, the original location can no longer be used, and there is still a star hanging there. My God, I think we should build the Death Song Academy more secretly. Otherwise, if the Heavenly Sword King accidentally gets the news, I'm afraid she will release another star and blow up our new home. Snow worriedly spoke to his main god Carl. After this time, there were some cracks in Snow's heart about the perfect image of his main god. At the same time, Snow also understood a truth. The known universe is still in the era of angel civilization, and Styx should be more restrained in their actions in the future. Carl would naturally not object to Snow's words. At the same time, he also knew that he was now the focus of the angel civilization. In addition, Carl also has his own plans for the establishment of the new Death Song Academy. First of all, the new Death Song Academy is an obvious cover. For research on void technology, Carl plans to establish a base alone. Separate his research from the place where he lives, so that even if Binghua comes knocking on his door again and destroys his newly established Death Song Academy, he won't feel too distressed. Before finding a way to deal with the Sky Sword King, Carl felt that he could only do this. Although what Binghua did in the Styx Galaxy did not reach the ears of ordinary civilizations, it was extremely shocking to Liang, demons, and a few relatively powerful god-making civilizations who paid special attention to the Death Song Academy. Death God Carl is not an unknown person in the known universe. More than 1,000 years ago, Death God Carl's behavior of forcing back Kesha, the king of angels, surprised all civilizations that were overwhelmed by the justice order of angels. But I didn't expect that in just a short period of 1,000 years, this guy Carl would have such trouble. His house would be torn down by angels and he wouldn't even dare to fart. He was completely different from the person he was more than 1,000 years ago. Just when Carl was thinking about how to rebuild his Death Song Academy, Liang Bing, who had not contacted him for a long time, actually contacted him. Carl, I heard that Binghua came to trouble you. Is your kid dead or alive now? Although the words were a bit rude, Carl still heard a hint of worry in Liang Bing's words. You are still alive. As you know, I have already upgraded to a phantom body and cannot be killed. Carl's tone was quite gentle, completely different from his previous calm appearance. TCH, don't tell me about your disgusting phantom body. I'm not interested in that thing. Carl was used to it. Ever since Carl told Liang Bing about the characteristics of the phantom body, Liang Bing disliked him less and less. By the way, you have fought against Binghua. How was it? Is she strong? After Liang Bing chatted with Carl for a while, she finally asked her why she contacted Carl. Very strong, extraordinarily strong. If I didn't have a phantom body, I would probably be killed instantly by her. Carl pondered for a while, organized his words, and summarized his feelings into one sentence. What you said is vague, send me the combat data and let me take a look. Binghua suddenly appeared, and maybe she was coming for me. I need to study her combat data carefully, otherwise if I meet her, I might die again. Carl really wants to say that no matter how much you study, it's useless. The other party uses upright tactics, which are the ultimate application of the rules of physics. Any little cleverness will be crushed into powder in the face of this kind of tactics, unless you hide from the opponent from the beginning. When Carl and Liang Bing began to have in-depth exchanges about Binghua, Binghua arrived at the Nantian Gate, the defense system of the Tiandao Liang planet system. Unlike usual, Liang guards of Nantianmen, who had received the news, had already opened the Nantianmen. A large group of Liang army soldiers stood on both sides of the passage to welcome Binghua, who visited Liang civilization. Although Binghua is no longer the holy left wing of the angels, no civilization dares to despise this former angel king. Your Excellency, King Tianjian, General Pan Zhen is already waiting for you behind the door. Please come with me. Yuan Li, one of the four guardians of Liang, led a group of more well-equipped Liang troops to meet Binghua. Binghua just nodded lightly and entered the Nantian Gate under his guidance. After passing through the Nantian Gate, the first thing that caught Binghua's eyes was the Liang star, which was only half a star and was on the verge of disintegration. This is the first time Binghua has seen Liang star, which was rumored to be split open by Nyoxing god of war with an axe. It has to be said that this feud is quite big. No wonder Liang has always been obsessed with the Dino survivors. If she puts herself in her shoes, no matter who is right or wrong in destroying the Dino civilization, she will destroy any civilization that dares to attack her home planet. His Excellency, the King of Heavenly Sword, as the regent of Liang, I am unable to welcome you from afar, so I still hope to see Hai Han. Pan Zhen cupped his fists and saluted Binghua. He said something nice, but there was no hint of apology in his words. Binghua didn't care about this either. Her relationship with Liang civilization was not very good, because the two sides had some unhappiness over the matter in China. But neither Binghua nor Pan Zhen are the kind of beings whose emotions can be affected by subjective impressions. Binghua came to Binghua this time with the intention of obtaining information about Liang's research on supernovae, and naturally he also brought some people worthy of this technical chips. Binghua is not the kind of silly Batian who thinks that as long as he opens his mouth, Liang will give away his information for free because of his identity. After a few casual polite words, Pan Zhen led Binghua to the palace on Liang star and found a hall to receive Binghua and his group of angels. After seeing too many of the majestic temples made of white bricks in the Merlot Heavenly Palace, and then looking at the antique Kayang Towers and Yu on the Liang star, Binghua felt that it was quite interesting. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 918. Your Excellency, King Tianjian, I don't know what your visit to our Liang civilization is about. Pan Zhen opened the topic first. He didn't want a dangerous existence like Binghua to stay in the sun for a long time. After all, Carl's Death Song Academy had just disappeared not long ago. General Pan Zhen, it seems that you Liang don't seem to welcome my arrival. Binghua did not directly answer Pan Zhen's words. She did not want to reveal her purpose prematurely, which would easily lead to blackmail by Pan Zhen, an old fox. King of Heavenly Sword, you are joking. The famous King of Heavenly Sword has visited us, Liang. We, Liang, feel extremely honored. But we, Liang, are no better than angels. I'm afraid that the Heavenly Sword King might not be used to it after staying here for a long time. Pan Zhen's words were filled with the intention of getting rid of this big trouble Binghua, but Binghua didn't care. There's nothing I'm not used to. I think the environment in Liang is quite good. As long as General Pan Zhen doesn't drive me away, I think I can still stay in Liang for a while. When Pan Zhen heard this, his expression remained kind and unchanged, but in his heart he just wanted to curse. Finally, after a period of stalemate, Pan Zhen finally stopped making all these twists and turns and just opened the skylight and spoke frankly. King of Heavenly Sword, we might as well make it a simple matter. Staying in Liang will make me very uneasy. Why are you here in Liang? Seeing that Pan Zhen was the first to give in, Binghua had no intention of being rude and would not go around in circles with Pan Zhen. The purpose of my visit to Liang is very simple. I want Liang's research information on stellar drive technology. Binghua did not directly say that he wanted supernova catalytic information. This was too sensitive. Binghua estimated that Liang would reject it if he proposed it. Therefore, Binghua opened his mouth because he was interested in Liang's stellar drive research data, and it was considered as a test of Liang's tone. Sure enough, Pan Zhen refused directly the next moment. Your Excellency, King Tianjian, don't be ridiculous. Stellar drive technology is the foundation of Liang's survival. We will never leave it to outsiders. Binghua was not too frustrated by the answer that he had expected, but Binghua was not unprepared either. I remember that 10,000 years ago, Liang and Dexing signed an alliance. What Liang wanted was the invincible body technology of the galaxy power. It's a pity that in the end, an unexpected combination of circumstances led to the destruction of the Dino civilization and the end of your sun planet. Binghua suddenly mentioned the somewhat distant topic of Dino civilization, and Pan Zhen's face darkened slightly after hearing this. This incident can be said to be a permanent pain for Liang. Originally, the conflict between Dino and Liang had nothing to do with them, but in order to further advance his god-making technology, Liang got involved in the Dino War. The final result was tragic. Liang got nothing and even lost half of his home planet and the main god. King of Heavenly Sword, what do you mean? It's not interesting. I just want to say that I have a complete set of technical information for the invincible body technology that Liang is obsessed with. Binghua said casually, not caring at all that she had uncovered Liang's scars. After all, she and Liang were not friends. Of course, she pursued maximizing interests when doing things. Pan Zhen didn't show anything unusual when he heard this, but he sighed helplessly in his heart. King Tianjian was specifically targeting Liang's weakness. Liang's latest generation god-making project, the Sun's Light, is stuck in the divine body. The direct bloodline of the Sun God has already completed the fusion with the supergene, but it is extremely unstable. Because the body of Hunkin, the Sun God Emperor of Liang, could be regarded as a model specially customized for him, and one of the students of the space principle, Seer, made a great contribution. However, with the destruction of the Dino civilization and the main body of the Super Seminary, Purcell felt that he had created the weapon to destroy the Super Seminary. He left Liang in frustration and has not been heard from since. Without Seer, who played a huge role in the Sunlight Project, Liang's latest generation Sunlight Project continues to have various minor problems, mainly the lack of divine body technology that can carry massive amounts of fusion energy. For this reason, Liang had to block the power of Emperor Lina, the generation bearer of the light of the sun, so that her body would not collapse due to excessive use of stellar fusion energy. At present, Liang has planned to directly awaken the new sun god of Liang civilization and let him enter the growth stage if he still cannot solve the problem of Dilina's divine body in 500 years. The reason is that the three major civilizations, Liang, Dexing, and Nyoxing, accepted the anti-void god-making plan established by the Super Seminary, which caused certain gaps in their own technology. Although Liang relied on the feedback from the Sun's Light god-making project to develop a third-generation divine body technology unique to Liang civilization, it was ultimately unable to compare with the special types of divine bodies brewed by the three major anti-void god-making projects. Originally, Pan Zhen had planned to agree to the Elder's proposal to install an encryption lock on Lina, the future Lord God of Liang. On the one hand, it would limit her power, and on the other hand, it would also protect her. After all, Li Yang's Lord God was still sleeping. Ignorant little girl. But this little girl possesses a terrifying power that can destroy a civilization, and she cannot be treated with caution by Li Yang's top brass. But now that he heard that Binghua had a complete set of information about the invincible body, Pan Zhen was struggling a little in his heart. He certainly didn't want the main god of the Liang civilization to be a defective product. In the future, Dilana should become a sun god who shakes the universe like her grandfather Dehunken, rather than a strategic weapon that can only be used to intimidate others. When Binghua saw Pan Zhen thinking for a long time, he thought that the other party was about to agree. Unexpectedly, Pan Zhen held back 3 words. Not enough. After finishing speaking, Pan Zhenayu added, I can't convince the elders just based on the information about the invincible body. Binghua saw Pan Zhen's thoughts. The other party was obviously moved, but he felt that the weight on the scale was not enough and he wanted more. But Binghua will not coddle Pan Zhen, and besides continuing to add more, there is another way, which is to reduce the value of the opponent's weight, and Binghua happens to have this ability. I think the invincible body is enough. The reason why I want to obtain your research information on stellar drive technology is just to save some time. Don't think that I am not proficient in the so-called stellar drive. After Binghua finished speaking, he raised his right hand in front of Pan Zhen's slightly widened eyes. The huge fusion energy gathered in the air, and finally turned into a mimic miniature star that exuded bright light. Staring at this miniature star that exuded terrifying energy, Pan Zhen knew that their Liang had no advantage in this transaction. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 919. After Binghua revealed his microstar driving technology, Pan Zhen's originally determined attitude softened immediately. As an expert at playing with stars, Pan Zhen could certainly see how powerful the microstar drive technology used by Binghua was, and immediately knew that Liang's star drive did not seem to be as important to Binghua as he imagined. Therefore, Pan Zhen will naturally not sit back and raise the price. He plans to discuss the matter with Liang's elders to see if he can facilitate this transaction. To be honest, Liang doesn't care too much about whether the angel civilization will become more powerful because of Liang's star-driven technology, because Liang's primary goal now is to perfect their new main god as soon as possible. After Binghua and Pan Zhen reached a preliminary deal intention, Binghua settled down on Liang's star. Although Liang's star is incomplete due to its star body, large areas are covered with barren red gobi, but the greening in places where Liang people have settled is still very good. The only thing that made Binghua feel a little uncomfortable was that the clothing style of the Liang people was a bit retro. In Pan Zhen's words, they respected tradition. In Liang's star Binghua, I also met one of Liang's most mysterious guardians, Wu Zhao, named Red Phoenix Guardian. She was a very beautiful woman with superb archery skills. While Binghua was discussing the details of the deal with Pan Zhen, Binghua's guardian angels wandered around the city of Liang civilization. They were very curious about this civilization that the goddess said had mastered the power of stars, but their curiosity gradually dissipated as they arrived at the blazing sun. The main reason is that Liang's culture is too traditional and has almost no entertainment facilities, much like those civilizations in the pre-nuclear era. The only thing worthy of praise is that the residents of Liang have plenty of living supplies. This is the only place where the guardian angels feel that Liang is like a god-making civilization. After Binghua waited for a few days, Pan Zhen finally got news. It was still the same hall as that day, but now some of the debris here had been completely cleaned up. Your Majesty, King of Heavenly Sword, after our internal discussion, Liang agreed to this transaction with you, but the exchange is limited to the research results on Star Drive, and does not include information about the light of the sun. Binghua was not surprised by the restrictions proposed by Pan Zhen. Although she didn't care much about the light of the sun, it was too important to Liang and she would not show it to outsiders. I have already given you the core invincible body technology of galaxy power, can't you let me see Li Yang's so-called sunlight information? Binghua deliberately asked. Pan Zhen rejected Binghua's request with an attitude that left no room for negotiation, and Binghua simply retreated and said, "That's good. Since you don't want me to study the light of your sun, you must give me a complete set of research data on the star drive of your blazing Sunday." Pan Zhen didn't want to go on like this with Binghua anymore, so he made a decision on the spot and said deal. In this way, Binghua and Li Yang reached a technology exchange without the knowledge of outside civilization. In the foreseeable future, the Kamigawa and Tiandao galaxy will once again be plunged into turmoil due to the birth of the new god of Li Yang. I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing for the civilization of the Kamigawa and Tiandao galaxy. But Binghua didn't pay attention to these, because she had already got what she wanted. After that, Binghua didn't stay in Li Yang any longer, and Pan Zhen breathed a sigh of relief that he had successfully sent this great god away. Binghua, who returned to the Merlot Heavenly Palace, did not keep the star-driven technology he had obtained from Li Yang, but readily uploaded it to the Angel's database. After that, Binghua began to stay in his palace to read Li Yang's insights on exploring star drive technology, and integrated it with his own micro-star drive technology to further enhance his understanding of micro-star technology. After a period of reading, Binghua also successfully found the part that she was most interested in the complete set of star drive information delivered to her by Li Yang, which was about the new method of catalyzing superstars. But after some research, Binghua was a little disappointed. First of all, Li Yang's so-called catalytic supernova did not turn a normal star into a supernova that could directly explode. The principle is to use the sun's light to interfere with stars to quickly supernova stars that are qualified for supernova explosions. This time is not short, and it can take several days at the fastest. Of course, if there is a star that is already evolving towards a supernova, the supernova catalysis of the blazing sun can greatly shorten the time of its explosion. Although this was a bit far from Binghua's expectations, it at least allowed Binghua to know how to quickly carry out supernova catalysis. And as long as this technology is improved, it may not be possible to create supernovae easily in the future. As for whether Li Yang has obtained the invincible body technology, will he create the sun's light on a large scale? It's not that Binghua looks down on Li Yang. They have been tinkering with the sun's light god-making project for nearly 10,000 years and have not finished it yet. Want to mass-produce solar light? Even an angelic civilization with a vast sphere of influence cannot say that it can upgrade angels to the level of divine wings in batches. Moreover, the invincible body technology provided by Binghua to Li Yang is only a technical prototype, not a universal model. It is estimated that it will take at least a few hundred years for Li Yang to debug and optimize it. By then, the invincible body technology will probably be useless. The third-generation divine body technology that once overpowered the universe is now gradually beginning to withdraw from the T0 echelon. Binghua, who owns the fourth-generation angel divine body, feels this the most. In addition to being able to disperse and aggregate, the divine body can also ignore the major damage effects of God-killing weapons on the divine body. Therefore, the angels with the fourth-generation divine body have really opened up an era gap with other civilizations in the known universe. While Binghua was tinkering with his newly acquired technology, Carl in the Styx galaxy was revising his plans. My God, do you want Dowdy to stop his 1,000-year campaign plan? Our target is China, which is protected by the King of Heavenly Sword. Carl also felt a headache when he heard this, because if the plan remained unchanged, Carl planned to use China as a testing ground to attract the attention of all civilizations in the known universe and let them see the power of void technology. But now Carl felt that his plan seemed a bit unwise, because behind Shenzhou stood Binghua, and he didn't want Dowdy to attack Shenzhou with his front foot, and Binghua's back foot held the star and ran to his own Styx galaxy to find him. To explain. Although the time they got together was short, Carl could see that Binghua didn't like the so-called twists and turns. She followed the so-called philosophy that whoever has a bigger fist is more reasonable. Therefore, the way she treated Kesha was very important to her. It has no effect at all.